Hi, everyone. So, welcome to another episode of The Pragmatic Spiritualist. So, what we do here is we demystify spiritual themes and concepts for the expansion and the elevation of the conscious awareness. So, in this episode, we will be looking at the spiritual undertones of the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. Specifically, what's been going on in the last month or so, with Drake being so successful at the Grammys, the Super Bowl, etc. Now, I believe the battle has ended with turn the TV off, turn the TV off, and he did the remote switch off. So I think that's the end of the battle. I hope so for Drake's sake. So what we'll be doing is looking at the spiritual energies around this. So now, just for a disclaimer, just to say in full disclosure, though I am aware of the beef, as everyone has been, I'm not aware of the ins and outs and the intricacies of it. So I would not be doing that here. I wouldn't be addressing the symbolism and everything that Kendrick had in his Super Bowl. It was fantastic, but I wouldn't be doing that here. I feel that in the past few weeks, it's been analyzed to death, and there's lots of other videos of people who have done it or who can do it, do a much better job at that. So if you are here looking for any of that, I just want to tell you, we would not be covering that here. So I don't want to waste your time. And I'm just saying that to manage your expectations. Okay. Right. So what piqued my interest to do this and look at the spiritual undertones for this is that I was looking at the Grammys and I looked at Kendrick pick up 5 Grammys for Not Like Us. And they weren't just any periphery Grammys. They were the main categories, so I'm just reading from my list here. Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Music Video, Best Rap Performance. And even at the Grammys, there were notable musicians such as the Taylor Swift, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Billie Eilish, all giving him standing ovations, dancing and singing the song. They knew the lyrics too, Not Like Us. And even the Grammys overhead, when they were playing the song, were playing the most contentious parts of the song. This to me is unheard of. I mean, and we know of rap battles, like we've seen rap battles of the past, but not on this level. Even in the music industry, we haven't seen anything like this. And then, even on the same week as he had all that success, as if that wasn't big enough, he then performs literally in a week at the biggest musical event, more or less, in the world. Millions have seen the Super Bowl performance. And a number of people are creating shorts and copying his routine to the song Not Like Us. So when we really tap into this, it's like everyone is in on this. So what have you done? What has Drake, this is unprecedented, as I said before, what has Drake done for literally the world to be turning in on you? And it's not to say people are even maliciously mocking, but people, it's a good song and it's clever and the A minor is so, I would not want to be Drake right now. But so this is why I was just thinking it feels a bit glitchy to me. So does he deserve this? What is going on here? So I asked my guides this question, and this is what they passed on to me. So again, let me get the disclaimers out of the way. All the messages here are alleged until proven fact. We are looking at this from a spiritual and esoteric angle. So let's get into it. So this is what my guides to say. And on certain, I've just noted down their points. So for some of this, I may be doing remote viewing. I may also be channeling as well. So if you see me looking over there, my eyes are rolling or my eyes are closed, you know what's going on. Okay, fine. So one of the main reasons why my guides wanted me to do this, and this is the way they positioned it to me. This is what they gave me. Let's go. Okay. A minor point of karma. So what my guys were referring me to is that I did at the beginning of this year, I did a 2025 prediction and I talked about karma and karmic retribution. And I talked about karma walking the street corners, that everyone is going to be catching their karma. 2024, 2025 is going to be ramping up in terms of people catching their karma. And the reason I said for this, it's because social institutions are collapsing. And we talked a lot about that. We talked about social institutions collapsing, social institutions, political institutions, all previous institutions of the Capricorn era, if you like, are collapsing. But what they wanted me to add on here, they want me to come on to that a bit later. Right. So what they want me to stick on karma. What they also wanted me to say is the type of karma that the type of karmic retribution that Drake is getting is karmic retribution specific to his soul type. and his soul structure. It is specific to an ongoing spiritual battle between the Draco and the Anunnaki. It's like the battle is generally in the background, and it's sort of behind the veil. They're showing me a veil, and it's sort of like it's spilled over into plain sight. But they're showing me, particularly with this retribution, and I'll come on to Draco in a moment, but particularly with this retribution, they're showing me the abuse of power, which we'll also come on to in a moment, but specifically the abuse of female power. Like they're showing me like in the background, and I'm not talking about Drake's music or what's been off in the press and that sort of thing. They're really showing me what happens in the background with Drake and the way he moves, but they're showing me really particularly women and the taking advantage of women and making women feel uncomfortable. And it's not that they're also telling me about they're showing me rather someone being very nasty, particularly when it comes to women. And I'm just going to say this, all messages are alleged until proven fact. I'm remote viewing, my eyes are closed, they're showing me visions, so I'm trying to describe what I'm seeing. Oh, could I say this? Allegedly. It's as if is it blacklist? It's not blacklist, blackmail, right? Very powerful female celebrities. It's like he has information on them and it's like he blackmails them. When they're giving me all of this now, when we're talking about, right, so okay, thank you. So we know we're talking about the gatekeepers falling, right? And I've talked about that a lot on my channel, but what they're showing me here is like, it's not like he is a gatekeeper, yes, and as a gatekeeper, he has fallen, yes. But it's as if I'm going to use the term they're giving me. He's just a very, very nasty person behind the scenes to the point where people are afraid of him. He has so much information and it's the blackmail and it's the manipulation and it's the control. That's what they're showing me. Okay. What I really wanted to go on to in terms of this, what time am I on? I really wanted to go into another thing that they gave me, which is very key, and it relates to the karma about one other thing they're giving me about women, sorry, it's not just women, it's also men. And this is relating, okay, fine. I'll just describe it as I go on to the second point they've given me. The second point they've given me here, and this is the main point for me doing this podcast and doing this topic as a podcast, is they called him a Draco plant. So what this means is that Drake belongs to a soul group called the Draconians. Like you can't make this up. Like things are just in plain sight. Like the veil is proper dropped and we are just seeing everything now. But anyway, so he belongs to a soul group called the Draconians. And the Draconians' soul vibration is, the Draconians' soul, rather, is the structure of the Draconian soul is different from how a normal soul is structured. Specifically for a normal soul, we would get life force energy from our creator, from source, whatever you want, whatever term you want to use for it. And when I talk about life force energy, it's something that gives us life. And energy, it gives us our personality, it gives us our way to create experiences on the earth plane, because we're all divine beings having a human experience. Our capability to be divine beings in this vessel, in this human body, is due to life force energy, the same sort of force energy that, what's his name, who did Star Wars, like George Lucas was talking about, okay? It's actually a thing. In fact, George Lucas and Gene Roddenberry, who did Star Wars and Star Trek respectively, they channeled the characters and all these concepts and so on. They are real from parallel universes and worlds. They are real, and star systems. They are real things. Anyway, I digress. So the whole idea with the Draco is that with their soul, but the way their soul is structured, they can't get their divine force energy from God. They more or less, or from source or whatever you call it, they get their energy from other people. They get their energy from siphoning from other people. The thing is, when you have a positive soul, like yourself, me, when you have a positive soul, you could have unlimited life force energy because we're connected to God, we're connected to source. So we have that unlimited form from which we could access energy. Whereas with a Draco, because they can't channel their energy from source, they need to channel it from other people. It means that the energy they're able to access is finite, which means that they always, and the way they get their energy from other people, because if they can't channel it from source, they channel it from people, they channel it from situations, they channel it from things. So many times they would need to create situations or create opportunities in order to channel and siphon this energy. So what you would tend to find with a Draco, or how you can identify one, is that they often put themselves in positions of power. They put themselves in positions of influence, firstly. Secondly, they also put, the reason why is that they put themselves in positions, if it's not power, if it's not influence, then they will put themselves in positions where they could manipulate people, where they could instill fear, where they could instill shame, where they could disempower you. The whole point of doing that, and the reason why, is to make yourself feel smaller than what you actually are. So if you're not in your full expansion consciousness, if they make you, when they make you feel smaller, the difference between your disempowered state and your actual God-given state, that difference, that is the energy they're siphoning off. Okay, so I hope you understand that, because that's the whole reason why I'm doing this podcast. That is key. So many times with their energy siphoning, people who are vulnerable, situation places that are vulnerable would tend to be children, teenagers, youngsters, even adults who may be fairly innocent or fairly naive or too trusting, or people who are easily manipulated, or people who are not in that position where they can make choices or have that influence, right? Or people who could be easily controlled, so to speak. So these are the type of people, places, situations that the Draconians would generally find themselves in. And they would try to weave and manipulate and create situations and scenarios where they could be empowered. They create confusion, disempower other people, and siphon off the energy. Many times, they're giving me this now. And so we talked about people being vulnerable, people not having control, etc. However, the bigger the opportunity, or the bigger the catch that they could control, the bigger the energy siphoning. So when we're looking at battles, and when we're looking at Drake, let's say with Kanye and that sort of thing, and going up and battling other people, it's as if that's something that they can't resist, is what they're giving to me now, because they can't resist the opportunity that if they win, or if they're able to dominate that person, even though they may be a big star as well, but the ability to dominate the person and have them under their thumb, it's such a huge boost to them that they can't resist. That's something they're giving to me. Oh my goodness, they're giving me this person now. I'm seeing their face. What is their name? It's this film producer who abused the likes of Gwyneth Paltrow, along with Bill Cosby and so on. So a lot of Weinstein. That's his name. So that's an example of a Draco. Now, what they're also raising is that a number of our institutions and social structures have been created in a way where they enable this energy siphoning. And it's not only institution and social structures as well, but there are also social programs also that are put in place to enable this energy siphoning. What they're also saying as well is that the Dracos are not the only group that do energy siphoning. So even people who have who are positive souls can energy siphon as well, because we are positive souls. We could choose to do right or wrong, so to speak. So I like to use the term right or wrong, but I'm going to be loose for the sake of just communicating a theme or a concept. I also want to say that in talking about Dracos as well, is that I'm not discussing it from a place of judgment, or taking sides or anything of that nature. It's a matter of explaining a spiritual concept. It's a matter of explaining someone's soul group. As a matter of fact, they're giving me that there are Dracos, and Dracos can be very charming, basically. They could be very charming. They could do well and they're giving this to me now. Like what people would generally say about Drake is that he's very charming. He's very funny. He's easy to be around. He's very talented. He has put a number of people on. He's given a number of people opportunities within the industry, right? So they can be very charming, very, very charming people. It's just acknowledging that this is how they're made. This is their soul structure. That's how they receive energy. they're siphoning. So you could have some Dracos as well. They're just giving this to me now, who may create. So it's majority of them, it's the manipulation, it's the this, the that, to the other. But you have one or two, they're giving me this to me now, one or two sprinkling of Dracos who can be deemed as positive. And by making you feel at ease and by building you up and by making you feel fantastic about yourself and everything else, that's also their way of siphoning off energy. Look, I'm just telling you what they be giving me. Okay. Right. What else do I want to say? Now, now we talked about, they reminded me about the veil. So they're showing me about, I would say one line on this. They're just showing me about the veil dropping. And they're talking about this is spiritual warfare that we're actually seeing in front of us. Because I came into this wanting specifically to talk about Drake and the Draconian energy. What they're pointing out as well is Kendrick. And I tried channeling some of him before this, but he has a lot of protection around him. So, you know, if someone is very protected like that, chances are they don't want to be read, and I would respect that. However, what I'm picking up with him, though, is that he has either an Anunnaki or an Elohim. I'm just hearing those two terms around him when it comes to his energy and his energy space. Now, that's going to make sense because with them going as hard as they're going, and that's why I told you at the very beginning of this, this felt really glitchy to me about someone going in so hard, about all of us as a collective looking in on this and buying into this and sucking into this and not understanding or realizing why. And the reason for that is, and I'm just going to put this out there, it's a Draconian Anunnaki Elohim war, spiritual war that's basically going on between these two. And we've seen who won, the Anunnaki won. But there's something really interesting about Kendrick Lamar's energy, and I would see whether I would be able to go into it. I have to ask permission first when someone is so heavily protected and they don't want to be read from a spiritual perspective. Chances I need to visit their team, their spirit guide team, speak to my spirit guide team. We need to ask permission, and then we need to, like it's an agreement, it's a contract that we enter into. I need to determine whether I want to enter into a contract to read somebody's energy. It's a thing. I had to do it for Beyonce, and I'll release that video soon. It's a whole thing. Another thing that I wanted to put out about the Draconian energy, and because I have Taylor Swift, I'll be putting Taylor Swift on the thumbnail because they're giving me to this now, about this now. One thing with the Draconians is that you have to be very, very careful with a Draconian. Simply because in the way they move and the way they operate, many times it's hard to determine or hard to identify when they're siphoning energy from you. And many times they could siphon energy behind your back, or many times when you're not even aware. So with Taylor Swift, for instance, when it comes to the Justin Baldoni and the Blake Lively of it all, this is why I feel for her. And I feel in this moment, and I'm going to do a reading about this just after, I think she realizes this, the Taylor Swift and the Blake Lively of it all, they've been friends for 10 years. But it's an example of how difficult it is to spot a Draconian. Allegedly, in Blake Lively. Because they could be so charming. They could come across really well. But there is just something about them. Like sometimes you could have a feeling about them where something doesn't feel quite right. Many times, if you get on their bad side, oh my goodness, as with Justin Baldoni, God help you, right? So many times, and I say this to say that people who get with Draconians, many times when you realize something or you see a red flag, or many times, as in case of Taylor Swift, it may or may not be too late. I'll need to look into that. I think with her, there is some damage that's been done. They're giving me this now. There's damage that's been done. There's more to still come out. And I feel that her people, I'm remote viewing as I'm saying this, her people in the background are trying to see what they can do to lessen the blow and the impact of what could potentially come out, which is quite damaging. But Taylor Swift herself, it doesn't seem like this right now, but she got caught up in something. And this is where the Draconians could be quite damaging to you when you're around them. They could be very charming. They could be very charismatic. They could rope you in for years and you don't think anything of it because this is what they do. but Taylor Swift got caught up in it. So many times people are thinking that Taylor Swift was complicit in whatever Blake Lively and so on was doing. But what they're channeling to me now is like, no, she just got caught up in the Draco energy and the Draco manipulation and that sort of thing. That's the way they're painting it to me. They're also saying that it does get complicated because you could be a good person and you could not do such a good thing. Like there are no friends in business. You could be ruthless in business and that sort of thing, but not because you're ruthless in business necessarily makes you a bad person, or it means that you're siphoning off someone's energy, that sort of thing. So this is where, you really have to use your discretion. You have to use your common sense. Um, you know, when looking at this. So many times people have been asking me to do the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and the Taylor Swift of it all. And that's why I've been hesitant, because it's not really a tarot reading thing. It's more a discussion thing to really paint it out for you. But because I was looking at Draco's, I just wanted towards the end of this to pop in Taylor Swift because that's another example of a draconian situation where you could be the victim of that. Okay. Another thing that I just want to say very quickly to wrap up, which was just one other point that they gave me, is that this Drake, Kendrick Lamar battle and what's gone on here, this is the very last point. It's the beginning of a rebalance or a reset of the male and female dynamic, particularly within the music hip hop industry and within Black communities as well. They were just saying like this is the start. So yes, you are seeing the collapse of a gatekeeper with Drake, and we're seeing karmic retributions there. But it's as if, I'm not sure how, but they're giving me Kanye's name now, but it's as if this is going to parlay into a rebalance or a reset of the male and female dynamic. What they're showing me is that they're showing me in terms of music and vibration frequency, it's as if male energy is moving to a particular frequency and the female energy is moving to a particular frequency. And it's as if these two frequencies should come into harmony and should be able to meld and blend and become one, like a chorus of different tones. But that's not happening at the moment. What they're saying is that when we're looking at the expansion of the conscious awareness and the elevation and ascension to where we need to go, we need both. We need both the male, we need both the female dynamics, and they are not in harmony and they're not in balance as such. And that is because of the infiltration of programs and the infiltration of power imbalances and power dynamics. And it's due to attempts to redress and rebalance this, such as the Me Too movement, etc. Those movements have been co-opted. So the imbalance still remains. But what is not really being talked about or discussed as such, it's been hinted at with SZA and Serena Williams being there at the Super Bowl, but they're bringing me back again to the female and the suppression of the female and the female energy. It's like behind the scenes. I don't know why. I don't know whether it may come out in time in the mainstream, but apparently from Drake's side, that was really bad, allegedly. For some reason, I don't know what the link is, but we're going to be seeing a link between that with the female and male rebalancing within the hip hop industry. And Kanye, if I hadn't said this before, sorry, when I'm in and out of channeling, I can't remember what I've said or what I haven't, but it's as if Kanye is going to be very key to that. We know that we've seen Kanye, in the press of late with Bianca and that sort of thing, but it's as if there is more of that to come. And I don't know how that Drake and Kanye relate in terms of the rebalancing and the redressing of this dynamic. Okay. Guys, that's the end of this. I'm going to leave it there for now. Let me know what you think in the comments and see you in the next episode. Bye for now.